people's personal finance journeys are split into milestones. Usually the first one is to save $1,000 and then save 5,000, 10,000. Become debt free, earn six figures, stuff like that. And a lot of the people that watch my channel are actually in that beginner stage, or they're wanting to know where to start, how to start. And so that's what this video is about. This video is about what to do, what things to think about, and some things to look for once you reach your first $5,000 saved. $5,000 is a lot of money, you guys. I know to some people that doesn't seem like it's too much, but that's actually a very impressive amount of money, in my opinion. Some people will probably not agree, but that's how I feel. $5,000 is a lot of money to save. And when you reach that amount of money saved, it's time to start thinking differently. And you'll even start being treated differently. Here's some things that I noticed when I reached my first 5 grand. I was being treated differently, specifically by my bank. I started getting calls from my bank asking me if I needed financial advisor. I was getting, solicited for those services once I started hitting a consistent number of money in my savings account. That amount of money actually saved should tell you right there automatically that I don't bank at Chase, right? But once I hit that number, that's when I started getting solicited for that financial service. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And the reason why that happens is because the bank wants you to stay there, right? The bank doesn't want you to accumulate money and then leave. They want to keep your money. They want to use it, loan it out, and make money on your money. And so I like to take advantage of those things. They reached out to me for free financial advice. They also reached out to me for a better savings account. So because I had a certain amount of money saved in my account, they wanted me to move it to a money market savings account. It serves as a money market and a high yield savings account. And at first it had a limit. The limit was $5,000 so that you didn't have to pay a fee every month. Because in my opinion, I feel like that's a ripoff. Paying a fee to bank to me is crazy. I will never do that. I would never agree to that. And so you just have to be upfront with the bank. When they want you to stay with them, they're going to do things that you want them to do. They're going to work with you. And so just keep that in mind so that you know what cards you're dealing with and also what leverage you have. Because when you do have a certain amount of money, you do have leverage. So, what are some things to look forward to? What are some things to look out for? What are the next steps when you gain your first $5,000 saved? That is what we're going to talk about today, guys. But I want you to keep in mind that this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only, educational, if you will. If you are interested, if you are curious, this is what I did once I reached my first $5,000 saved. And, in no particular order, but this is what I would do if I were to start over and I had just reached my first $5,000 saved. First, I would revel in that feeling, right? When I reached my first $5,000, I had never seen that amount of money in a bank account for me in my life. So, because that was a milestone for me, it was special. And because it was special, I I reveled in it. I reveled in it for about a month and just enjoyed the security that came with it, right? I enjoyed the security that came as well as just being able to feel more secure in honestly myself. I had never saved that amount of money in my life. So it's a big deal. It was a big deal for me. And it's just something that I like to keep in mind. So that's the first thing, revel in it. The second thing to do, the second thing that I did when I reached my first 5 grand is I started thinking about how much debt I had. I started thinking about how to get rid of high interest debt and what it would look like to start getting rid of that debt. You know why? Because there's no better feeling, no greater freedom than having no debt, but having money in the bank, right? So that's just something that I wanted to keep in mind as well when I reached my first $5,000, you don't have to stop there, right? You can capitalize on it, you can take advantage of it, you can monopolize on it. And that's just something to keep in mind. That's what I did. I started to strategize how I was going to monopolize on this, how I was going to basically benefit from this. So that's the second thing that I did when I reached my first $5,000 saved. So most of the things that I did were, action based items. A lot of the things that I did were action based in order to monopolize on the fact that I had just saved a milestone, if you will. And some of them were also just some practical things to keep in mind, life wise, when it comes to saving money, right? Because to a lot of people, $5,000 is a lot, including me. So the next thing that I did when I reached $5,000 is I kept my mouth shut. I have been on YouTube for about 10 years now, but I wasn't active on social media like that when I reached this milestone. So when I reached it, I kept it a secret. I didn't tell anyone that knew me in real life. I didn't tell anyone that I worked with, none of my friends, none of my family. The only person who knew that I was on a journey to save money, to save the most money I've ever saved, was my boyfriend, who is now my husband, right? And seeing me reach those milestones, those small ones at first, convinced him that he should start as well. And so it's kind of killing two birds with one stone. You're not only doing what's good for yourself, but you're also bringing people in and being a good influence for others as well. The fourth thing that I did once I reached my first $5,000 saved is I started looking at ways that I could make it grow faster than just in a conventional high yield savings account, right? Because a high yield savings account is very fixed. You can expect the same amount depending on the interest rate, whether it lifts or lowers. You can expect the same amount every month. And because of that, it's just not going to give you that compounding that you're looking for. And so, if you are looking for more of a compounding effect, that was the next step in my personal finance journey. And so, I started looking at certain stocks as well as index funds in order to make my money grow more proficiently, more efficiently. And it was keeping up with inflation because, as you guys know, in the last decade, the S&P 500 has been doing crazy numbers. We've been very lucky, and I wanted to take advantage of that. So I started looking at ways to lower my debt, increase my debt to income ratio, as well as ways to just get in the stock market without having to pick out individual stocks. And this is the part where I tell you there is risk with investing. And so this is not financial advice. I like to put most of my money in the S&P 500 index. You have different ones depending on what you are into. So I have a Charles Schwab one, SWTSX. That is my favorite. I have the biggest holding in that, and it has done fantastic in the last 8 or so years that I have been in it. And then I have another one that's with Vanguard, and that is VOO. It is the exact same thing, except it's an ETF instead of an index fund. And so those are the two that I have my biggest holdings in. There are also things like VTI. I got my brother and my mom and my husband into that one. And there are some others too that are also, those equivalents that would be a good place to start if you are interested in, getting into those indexes. However, this is not advice. There is risk, and I am not a financial advisor. I am not a financial professional. And so I know a lot of people ask me, what are some index funds? Where do you start? How do you start? And nobody really says it. Those are the ones that I was interested in. Those are the ones that I researched. I think you should look into them, right? And make your own decision on how you want to put your money in the stock market, right? Because I am not a financial advisor. So just keep all that in mind if you are curious and want to look into different securities and start a position. You have so many options that you should definitely look into and do your due diligence on. And lastly, what did I do? What was the final thing that I did when I reached $5,000 saved? And, the final thing that I did was I did it again. and I did it again, and I did it like 4 times until I reached 20,000, and I'm doing it again another time, 2 times, so that I can reach 30,000 by the end of this year, because I want to be able to have a year's worth of expenses saved, because these jobs are not safe. As you guys can see behind me, this is Google behind me. This is Google. Let me show you. This is the Google campus, brand new. They just built this not too long ago. I don't know what year this was built, but this building is at most 10 years old. At most. They built it. And guess what? People get laid off from here every single day. There's nothing that is secure about today's job market, even if you are in tech. I live, around these campuses, Amazon, Apple. As you can see, this is the Google one. They have the Google Cloud Service building right on the other side of this one. And as you guys probably saw on the news, they laid off so many people, thousands of people in 2024 alone, right? So because this economy is not guaranteed, because no matter what job you have, you are not guaranteed safety, we need to be saving. We need to be having our expenses covered, so that if we are out of a job for 5, 6, 7, 8 months to a year, we can cover our bills. We need to be able to pay our bills. Things are getting serious out here. And so that is the last thing that I did. I made sure that my money could grow. I made sure to get my debt to income ratio in order. And I made sure that I kept my mouth shut to people that knew me. And I also made sure to enjoy it. Enjoy the fact that I had reached this milestone, be proud of myself. But most importantly, I made sure to keep doing it. I kept doing it. I'm going to keep doing it until I reach an amount that I am comfortable with. If you have a job like Google, it's no guarantee. There was a time where that was a guarantee. It's not a guarantee anymore. And because of that, we need to be saving our money. We need to be prepared to pay our bills. Nobody is coming to save us. And so that is the most important thing that I did, is that I built on top of that. 5,000 at a time. You did your first 5,000, fantastic. That is amazing. Enjoy that, revel in it, and move on. 10,000 next, then 15, and then 20, until you are completely comfortable with the amount that you have saved, so that if you lose your job, if you get sick, if you have to move, you have FU money to make that happen. So those are the things that I did when I reached my first $5,000 saved. I hope you guys like this little impromptu video. I thought I would just do it while I was on my walk, so that you guys could see what I see every day, things that give me motivation. Sorry, there's geese and I'm scared of them. Things that give me motivation, as well as keep things in perspective for me, things that keep me focused. We need to stay focused in this economy, you guys. So let me know in the comments before I leave. Let me know in the comments, how much do you guys have saved? What is your savings goal? How do you guys plan to reach that? That is something that I want to know in the comments below. Thank you again for being here, and I will see you in the next video.